All right.
Hey.
It's been fun.
It has.
Yeah, so what do you think?
There's definitely lots of dough to kind of come in and bake here. Like we kind of just scratched the surface. So I mean, there's lots of things that excite me here.
Okay, what are the favorite things you remember?
Okay, so my favorite thing, like with the code stuff, is sort of the expansions to the switch statement, like that you can have the expression case. And again, just coming from like a scripting background, that feels very comfortable to me, and that's something that I've always kind of missed.
Okay.
So in terms of code, I think that's my favorite. Now, in terms of like, I guess, well, what do you call it? Like experience, like being part of an ecosystem. I think the code styling rules and the fact that those get saved on a project by project basis, I could see those being really useful, especially if you work on open source and you want to use Visual Studio for that, and have those rules be enforced across your unknown team, like people you've never even met, but you need them to adhere to a certain coding standard. I think that's huge.
Right. Well, and just to be clear, because of the way Microsoft went out and used an existing standard for that, the theory is there, and I'm not sure exactly when it's going to come to fruition, that any editor anywhere can adopt that same exact format and can have all those same rules enforced as well. So that's a really cool aspect.
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, those are my two favorite. Like I always try to I love like the coding part was amazing. There's lots of great stuff in there, but I still have to stick to the switch statement, which I'm sure not many people are gonna.
Oh, I don't know. I like it a lot. I like never having to do that something as something if that is not equal to null. That I never want to type that line of code again. 2 lines of code. I never want to do that again. So so that's pretty exciting. And then tuples is nice.
Tuples are really nice, and again, you spent 6 months in Python, and that's I actually spend quite a bit of time there myself now doing some data stuff. But you get used to having them around, and when they're not there, it's kind of like, oh no, now what do I do?
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So.
Well, it's been great.
This has been a really fun experience. It's great to see you again.
Yeah, it is.
And I should have told you this at the beginning of the thing, but you got some blue stuff in your hair. I didn't know.
Some blue stuff in my hair, huh?
You do, something blue.
Right. I think I've got it turned away from the camera, so I didn't blind the camera.
Nice. Well, what about you? Like you've been involved, I guess, more involved in this community for longer than I have. So what is your favorite?
Well, I think that for me the biggest thing is seeing the fruition, seeing the actual payback from Microsoft being in this tool every day, the same tool we're in, and I don't have to go up there anymore and explain to people. I actually, back in the day, I had to actually show someone at Microsoft that they used to have a double modal dialog for setting breakpoint conditions. It was a dual modal dialogue thing. It was truly horrible. And I had to show that to somebody because they didn't use it every day.
Exactly.
That we're the opposite now. We're the total opposite. There's ideas that they're coming up with that aren't coming out of the community going, where this hurts. They're going, oh, this hurts. And they're fixing things. And so it's fantastic. And to me, the big picture of that, and then all the open source, and open source being not just like throw it over the wall and we're doing some aspects of this, but it's the embracing of it, where if you want to feel like you're contributing, go make comments, go ask for things, go get involved anywhere there. You don't have to actually pull the source code and recompile it to be part of the actual active community that's changing Visual Studio. You can be in documents, you can be giving comments, you can be following the daily stand-ups, which aren't actually daily, but you can get however involved you want to get. You can do that, and to me, that's this change, this slow change that's now so real that this is an ecosystem now. And that's the part I think that I'm most excited about.
Yeah, that is pretty stunning too. Like, because the way you describe it is what I would call a closed community. Like when it was first created, like you had to be inside. You know, you had to have an in to get that kind of feedback back to the team, and it very slowly grew. We had user voice, and they were kind of listening there, and then, but now it's completely open, and it's like you look at things like .NET Core and ASP.NET Core. And I love the analogy you used earlier about, what'd you call it, tacking?
Tacking into the wind, yes.
The wind?
So you're trying to go upwind in a sailboat, and you have to go cross back and forth, and you're going just as fast as you ever go in a sailboat when you're going across the wind like that. You're going across, and you're going fast. That's just, so it's not like all of a sudden you're slowing down or something. But then that's how you get to where you're going.
But the interesting thing about that being an outsider, now being exposed to the way that these projects are handled inside of Microsoft, and really kind of seeing how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It's not always clean. It's usually delicious, but you know, and we're actually a part of it now, which is incredibly exciting.
Great.
Yep.
And the fights have been less. Actually, the wars have been less. You know, back when people felt like they had to really go to bat, you know, to get something, and you know, you look back, and I could think of several things that were, you know, internal issues or something. Yep. Well, to see that just you know, just go away is fantastic. It's so much more of a collaborative effort right now.
Yeah, and that, you know, just I'm not going to release anything that under NDA, but you know, you and I see each other at MVP Summit,
right?
And we've been in those sessions, and it does change. Like the attitude has changed, where it's like people screaming about their ideas and, you know, feeling like they're hitting a wall, versus now where they screaming about their ideas and like, yeah, that's a really good idea, thanks.
Yeah, well, you know, it's interesting too, because there's people that are MVPs that get frustrated because it used to be MVPs saw things ahead of time, and now sometimes by a day or two, sometimes by nothing, sometimes we see it because it's so transparent. And so you look at something like the C#7 features that I showed. Most of those features Mads wrote about last August. And in fact, it's still a pretty good article on some of the features. Some of them have been under discussion for a couple of years. The match statement, which is probably under consideration for the next version. I'm not sure they've actually done an announcement on what they've got in mind for C#8 beyond that it will have more pattern matching. Well, that whole process got kind of flushed out, and then they said, well, we're going to set that one aside because there's some things we might get wrong, so we're going to get a little further along before we put that or records in place. And so there's a couple of things that are still out there, and we'll see which one of those make it. But if you know, you can watch as closely as you want to. I
was about to say, but the difference here is that we know that's happening.
Yeah, everybody knows.
We can see
I mean, it's
in real
there's
time.
No secrets.
Yeah,
it's like there's very few secrets.
Exactly.
There's still a few secrets, and Visual Studio is not open source.
Correct.
Visual Studio Code is open source, and C# compilers are open source, which means C# is open source. And there's some pieces in there that aren't, because Microsoft is still a company that still owns assets.
Yep.
So everything is not given away, but an awful lot is.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, it's exciting times.
So I just have to say, it's been great fun showing this to you.
It's been great
I'm
fun
so
being
excited
shown.
about it, and it's been great fun showing it to you.
Absolutely,
so,
yeah, and I learned quite a bit. I hope you did too, as your proxy. And I'm excited, that I have it installed and I can be all modern. But also, I'm actually really looking forward to being able to use a lot of these features in my code bases now.
Super.
I am super behind the times.
Well, let me know if you have any problems.
I will, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. All right. So thank you for joining us in this play-by-play. And Kathleen, thank you for coming all the way to Chicago to be a part of this.
Thank you.
Absolutely.